Welcome to TWiP PRO Critique session number 21. That's coming your way next. This is TWiP. This is TWiP PRO Critique session number 21. As usual, I'm joined by my partner in crime, Mr. Troy Miller, to go through some of the submissions to the TWiP PRO community. Hey, Troy, how's it going, man?
I'm good. I'm just going through getting a quick eye on all of the photos that we have. Some nice stuff today.
There's quite a few in there. We've got, how many do we have to go through today? Like
12.
12 photos. 12 awesome photos this time.
Yeah.
This is cool. So if this is any indication of how, because everything's measurement. Everything's is a experiment, right? So we gave folks topics and got a trickle. Just saying, gave folks a topical challenge and got a trickle of respondents. When I made it general and said just free for all, the floodgates open up.
Yeah. And there is a dominating theme in this particular week.
There is a dominating theme. There is a dominating theme, which, by the way, is going to lead to a future episode of TWiP that will be recorded in the next, either this week or next week or maybe the following week. Yep. But it is, I want to do a show on censorship and the definition of nudity and versus pornography versus fine art. That conversation that has been had a million times. I think I want to have it again, So,
yeah, have it again.
Why not? Why not?
Because you'll know it when you see it. Just isn't good enough.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So at the end of that episode, we will have to have defined what fine art is and what nudity is and what pornography is. So we'll take those findings to the Supreme Court and done. Just send them your definition when you're all done. You've worked it all out, and then move on to the next topic. I don't got time for that. I'm going to send them a link to the YouTube video. They can figure it out themselves.
Okay, I like it.
They got nothing else to think about.
I like it.
Cool, man. Well, let's dive in. Lots of, like you said, 12 images to go into. The first one is from, let me go ahead and bring it up here. The first one is from Gordon Burnett. He calls this one French Military Parade.
Yeah, and when he posted this one in the TWiP PRO community, my comment was that gentleman pointing at you?
Yeah.
And he said he didn't know for sure, but he put his camera down just in case. That I was looking at it again. It looks pretty intense. I mean, I'm a little scared for him, but we know it turned out okay.
I know. I'm gonna say either that. There's two things that went through my head. Either that guy is pointing at a tiny little person that's right under Gordon's chin.
Or at Gordon.
And he's surrounded by these people, all these people with looks like semi-automatic or automatic weapons with bayonets on them.
Yeah.
And if you had to caption this, it would be get him, right?
Yeah, that's the guy.
There he is.
Call him Gordon Burnett.
Exactly. He is not to leave here.
I love the shot though. I mean, this is one of those photojournalistic type images that have so many stories going on in it, and I really love that. I mean, you look around, you see there looks like there's cell phones in their pockets. The two on the right are helping each other, like helping him get ready to come get Gordon or whatever. And then the pointing obviously in the middle. In the back right-hand corner, right behind the dude on the right with the white hat, there's a gentleman with a camera. Looks like he's taking pictures of something up in the air. There's just so many neat things going on in this image. If it didn't have to stick to any sort of photojournalistic styles, I would say let's get rid of that blue and white board in the back and maybe crop the top down a little bit. But other than that, great timing. I
would agree with that. And I echo everything you say about the photojournalistic quality of this shot. And cropping wise, yes, there's three things that I would do. So I would lose a little bit of the top, like you said. That blue thing on the right, the white, whatever that thing is distracting. So I would make that less distracting or get rid of it altogether. If you can do that, if it's photojournalism, obviously you can't do it. But as far as cropping goes, I was on the fence of this. I looked at this for a long time. it seems to be tilted to the left a little bit, and you can tell by the vertical lines on the building in the background that it's and everybody in the shot is kind of leaning a little bit to the left, just slightly, including the guy in the middle that's pointing. Everyone's leaning a little bit. So if he was to rotate it back to the right, just a hair, and I'm nitpicking, so that would do that. On the left side, there's a bayonet and someone's elbow. So I would probably lose that piece because that's not going to impact the image too much. And you may lose some of that when you rotate it as well. And then on the right, there's half of a guy's face there. But I was on the fence about that one because if you lose half of that guy's face, you start eating into the guy that's fixing the back of this other guy on the right side of the frame. So, you know, maybe if this is not photojournalistic aimed at photojournalism, just erase that guy, the half of the head on the right, just clone it out of there and get rid of it, you know, so it's not distracting. But yeah, no, it's cool. And I like the fact that it's like a sea of this sort of khaki with the one guy who's clearly in charge with all the medals, and he's pointing and giving orders in the middle there. So yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And he's obviously older than everybody else in there. At least he looks like it. So very cool shot, Gordon.
Yeah, very intense. Very, very good timing.
Yep, very good, very good. And thanks for submitting that. This is cool. Keep it up. Okay, so the next one is from Mark Harris. He calls this one Freya on the Beach. Here we go.
Freya on the beach. Oh, look, it's black and white. We like black and white.
We like black and whites. I love the shot, and I looking at it, I like the layering of it because it's just like, you know, starting from the top down, clouds, and then ocean, and then sand, and then something to interrupt the pattern. So it's, you know, and that happens to be a naked female girl sitting there in the sand. But, you know, great job though. I dig it.
Yeah, had her head intersected the line between the water and the sand, it wouldn't have had as much impact. But because her head is just below that, the impact really is dramatic in those three layers. So I'm assuming Mark did that on purpose because he's really good at this stuff.
Yeah, he is.
I would only suggest that you clean up a little bit of some of the marks on her skin, like on her left leg, you know, like on her back, little things like that, just little details, unless, of course, those are like birthmarks or things that she wouldn't want you to retouch. But from a retouching or sort of a beauty standpoint, if this was a client of mine, I might do that just to clean them up just a bit. Not that they have to be, but only thing I have to think of something to critique it on. Yeah. No, I would too. Those marks don't really bother me that much, depending on the usage of the photo, obviously, and the story that this photo is trying to tell. I mean, this is true. You know, a runaway or somebody that is trying to get away from an abusive husband or something, and you know, so those marks would make sense or something. But they don't necessarily. They're not egregious to me. If we're talking about the overall image and getting critical about the image itself, which I guess we're supposed to do in critique sessions, right? Of course, yeah.
Personally, I'd like to see more contrast in here, just a little bit more. And I think that's what I'm looking for. Is something that makes the clouds pop a little bit more and makes her pop out a little bit more. I don't know if that's contrast or if that's clarity, but something like that. But that is artistic and that is subjective. But, you know, the photo stands by itself just like it is. But if it were my image, I'm saying I probably would have dragged that slider to the right just a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just an illusion or if it's me, but it looks like the horizon and the sand, the water horizon in the distance and the sand line are not parallel. It looks like they're converging to the left a little bit.
I see that now. Yeah, interesting. I wonder what's going on there. Huh.
Could just fix that in Lightroom. Just use the transform tool and just draw those two lines on there and straighten that up.
Straighten them out. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
We had to try hard on that one.
Yeah. No, this is cool. I like it. Yeah. See, all these cool submissions today. These are really cool. And who was this? This was Mark Harris. Here you go. Mark Harris. Freya on the Beach. The next one is Craig Stampley. Craig Stampley calls this one Sunset Dancer.
Yeah. I never get to photograph stuff like that.
You don't? What's the matter with you?
This is really well done. I wish it was a little bit more in silhouette, so there was a little bit more to the imagination. I think that would also help with the sunset in the background and the saturation of those colors. I love that her right arm is intersecting the sun, whether, I'm assuming that she was moving around, so whether that was on purpose. The right hand is very delicate, that finger. I think that's really cool. So that's very well handled. To be picky, I wish that her chin and her arm didn't intersect. I wish there was a little bit more space there around the mask of her face, and that would just be her lifting her chin a little bit. Those are hard to do when your subject's moving a lot and things like that. But I think it's handled very well. The horizon is well placed. I mean, this is hard. Like, where do you put the horizon? If you kneel down, then it's going to be going through her waist or through her legs. If you were higher, it'd be going through her face. So I think it's very well handled.
Yeah. Not many comments on this one. I like it. I like this one. The chin intersecting with her shoulder there don't really bother me that much. In fact, I was looking at that as well, and I was like, oh, that's cool. He made a little triangle there with her.
No, that's a trap. See that little triangle? That's a trap. And I'm stuck in the trap and I can't get out of it.
Well, he made another one with her legs there. So, and there's another one next to her face and her forearm and upper arm, right? So there's a bunch of triangles.
Don't try to explain away my reasoning.
I'm just saying, he's got a lot of triangles going on in here and they work together. So
they do. It's very cleverly done. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like it. On the fence about the silhouetting it. She's kind of in shadow right now, so I'm okay with it. In fact, if she wasn't in shadow, it'd be fine. But I see what you're saying. Making it more dramatic and having more of having it just be the shape of the woman, or the outline of the woman versus being able to see her, her body parts and all that stuff. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I thought you were going to say? I thought you were going to say, because you always draw attention to amputated limbs is that right? Amputated, is that limbs, and she's only got 4 fingers on her right hand. So I was like,
most people only have 4 fingers on their right hand.
Well, and a thumb, right?
Okay.
So, yeah. And mine are opposing, so I'm just saying.
No, actually, I think the thumb would be distracting in this. I think this is a very delicate, hand of David kind of look, and I think that it's well done.
Yeah.
I like it.
Very nice. All right. Well, cool. Craig, thank you for submitting that. And here's another one from Craig. We just got a cornucopia of images from Craig Stampley. He calls this one the last rays of the day. Look at that. Last rays of the day.
Rays of the day.
Yeah. I like this low angle too. And that's definitely last rays of the day light there too. Being from California, we know this. Right?
Yeah. I love that reflection. That's fantastic. I think what I'm really, first of all, cool composition. The horizon's, right where it needs to be. I love her turning back.
Whatever Troy says, first of all, and then gives a bunch of compliments. Something's coming.
Ouch! Oh no! The thing is that I want to add.
Call that a sandwich. That's like you.
I want to add.
You wrap constructive criticism in bread. You're like, yeah, you did a really good job on this, but insert negative, and then you end it with the other slice of bread.
No negative.
But it was really great.
There's no negative. Just clone out those highlights on her ankle and maybe move a little bit to the left and let her look out to the water so she's not squinting into the sun. That's all.
You're not gonna say anything about the hair in her mouth?
No, I think that's casual. It's very casual.
Okay, all right. Just making sure.
I've got to pick my battles.
You do. Yeah. No, I for one, Mr. Stampley, have no negative comments on this shot. I like it. Unlike Troy Miller,
I love it.
No,
but every
the shiny feet don't bother me because they're wet, and you can explain why they got wet.
Well, just because you can explain why doesn't mean it should be there. I mean, if there was an airplane in the sky, it would take away from the image. I would want that out.
That's true. But I'm defending you Craig Sampley. So against the
You're just being extra ornery today.
The evil overlord that is Troy Miller, nitpicking your wonderful image here. So I'm just gonna say that the story that I weave in my head is that the waves just came in, clearly because the sand hasn't even absorbed the water yet. So the water just came in, it's receding, and he snapped this shot, which is why her butt and her feet are wet from that. So I like it. Hey, we gotta disagree sometimes.
I'm not gonna add any more. I'm done.
Click. I'm out of here.
I love the shallow depth of field.
Yeah. That's what you have to offer right there.
Shot that with a long lens. It's a long lens. I like it.
It could be a long lens. It could be.
It's definitely a long lens.
Well, let me bring the camera back to me here. So I'm on a 15 millimeter f1.7, right? I think it's f1.7. Yeah, f1.7. And the camera lens is like a foot and a half away from my face. So
but there's no compression in your image.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah, there's compression in this image.
All right. See, now you're going to use those like 3-syllable words on me. All right, cool. So you have too much fun doing this. This is too good. All right, Craig Sampley, thank you for both of those shots. You had fun at the beach. Clearly, you had a better time than we had it over the weekend. Some of us. And okay, so actually, I had a great time over the weekend. This was Father's Day weekend. Right?
Yeah.
This is a good weekend. All right, and the next one is from Mark Harris. So Mark Harris, let me bring this one up. Mark Harris calls this one Freya Portrait Censored. All right.
Yeah, this was the image that spawned the conversation about censorship and
Yep. And just for the audience that's watching this, he censored this by cloning some sand over her nipple. I think he said and that was, he did that for us, right? So he said so they wouldn't get flagged by YouTube's algorithms that are constantly sniffing for inappropriate content. So which in that comment made me think of, okay, a couple of grains of sand can take you from acceptable or from unacceptable to acceptable.
Right.
Like, there's something wrong with this picture, literally. You know what? You know, and I don't think there would be anything wrong with the photo with or without the sand. So that's what I want to discuss when we jump into it. But yeah, that aside, what do you think of the shot?
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna do the sandwich. I'm just gonna dive right in.
Did I burn you with the sandwich?
No, I love the image.
Troy Salami
It's
Miller.
Awesome. It's a cool pose. Yep. I want to know what other he did in this series, because I want to know, like, did you shoot it this way, or did you shoot full body and then you cropped it? I mean, there's so much potential here. I really dig it. I would do a little bit of dodging and burning in here. You know, like her body to the right, leaning out of the frame, is a little brighter than, say, her arms on the left. I would dodge that down a little bit so her eyes don't travel out of the frame. Yep. But other than that, I really don't have a lot. I mean, there's some flyaway hairs that are like single strands that don't really sort of fit. I would maybe clean those up if this was going to be something somebody purchased or a final image kind of thing, like in a portfolio. But other than that, this is just a great dramatic portrait. Yeah. Yep. Again, I go back to my I want more contrast in it. And mostly because of the sky, I think I want, for some reason, I like clouds to pop a little bit more, but completely subjective. But yeah, and this, you think he used the same lens on this one as he did on the one, or no, actually this is Mark Harris, but it looks like a similar level of depth of field on this image. That's why I bring that up. Yeah, I'm guessing. I'm gonna guess. We could probably pull up metadata and see, but I'm gonna guess this is in the 70-ish range. Shallow, maybe not quite that long. It's pretty shallow though. Yeah. Well, Mark Harris, you'll have to let us know what lens you shot this with, or we can, if you didn't strip the metadata, we can look in TWiP PRO. All right, cool. All right, very cool shots. Let's move on. This next one is from Brian Fisher, back in the saddle. Look at that.
All right, Brian Fisher doing what you were talking about before, a silhouette.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool.
This one's warm. Yeah, all of Brian's shots always scream California.
You know what? This is the perfect sunset. This is kind of how I envisioned the other image. What is it? The one by Craig was a little bit more like this, because I always love that deep color saturation as well. And it may not be as easy to see on the monitor, but there's detail in the shadow on her body, and I love that a lot. I like the fact that you have to look for that detail, and that's kind of what I was alluding to with Craig's.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, no, this is great pose. I love her face being, open. See, the chin isn't touching the arm.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
I like
had
that.
A countdown timer waiting for you to say that.
Yeah,
that is cool. Yeah, what would you? And I'm on the fence, so I'm asking legitimately about this. So that rock next to her heel there, and those two little things popping up on the beach in front of her. Are those fine to leave in, or should he have remove those? Do you think?
I would leave the rock because it's a good anchor. It's a sort of a secondary thing to look at. The two little pieces sticking up in the distance, I would take those out.
Okay.
If I was going to take this to image competition, however, I would probably take out the rock, because I can see a judge looking at that and saying, well, that's distracting from the main subject. That's equally as in focus. It's equally as prominent.
Yeah.
Not equally as large. And I think you could probably crop some off the right side of the frame. I don't think you need that much space on the right. I think it's too much.
Yeah. And there's something on the hill back there. Is that trees? You see that right next to her elbow in the background? Well, whatever it is, I would have killed that too. Got rid of that.
Yeah,
because
it's all about removing anything that is distracting to the viewer, right? I mean, like you could say, well, this is the way that I want it, and that's fine. But whether your viewer is intentional or not, they're going to see those things. And if you were painting this, would you have put those two little marks in the sand, or would you have put that little nubbin up on the hill?
Yeah.
Would you have made her chin connect to her arm? I mean, like, how would you, if you could just go in and move this around like a puzzle, what would you want?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you have the power. You have the power of the pixel. You can punish them.
That's right. Punish those pixels
with impunity. P3. Yeah, I'm a little slap happy right now. This is my third recording today, so. All right. Cool. All right, Brian, welcome back, and thank you for submitting that. And he's got another one in here too. Let's move on to this next one. There we go. So here's another Brian Fisher, woman with flowers on her body covering up her parts that would need to be censored.
That was good commentary. You did that really well.
Yeah, you see what I did there? Yeah,
I did.
Using beautiful flowers to cover up other nature, beautiful stuff. So
right. You know what? I've seen his before, so I kind of dig these. I mean, this is very creative.
Yeah,
it's very.
Did he submit one like this before? I thought I'd seen this.
I think it's been a while. Yeah, maybe a little bit different angle, but basically the same concept. I love it. I think that we're 99.9% there. My only two things that I would suggest would be, one, I think we have too much space on the right. It doesn't add to the image, so let's bring that in a little bit. And then she's got some seaweed on her left hand, like wrapped around her thumb.
Oh yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that just now that I've seen it, it feels a little bit weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
I might burn down those highlights too, because I think they take away from her face a little bit.
On her chest there?
Yeah. Just because it's taking away from her face.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Yeah. Looking at this shot, what feedback did I have? So yeah, no feedback other than what you said, and I didn't notice that I was going to say seafood, the seaweed on her thumb there. But I was looking at this, I was thinking, in a lot of these shots, I was thinking, and this is kind of a conversation I had earlier with someone I interviewed earlier today, but we were talking about the story behind photos. and what are they for? Like the reason why behind taking a photo. And that's kind of been an ongoing trope of mine over the last several months. Like what is, like in the case of this fine photo by Brian Fisher, what is this photo for? Like if you're just shooting this for fun, it's great. But is there a story behind this? Like, can you weave a story? Even if you just go with this photo just like it is, can you weave a story and have some text to go along with this photo that say, you know, what was going on here and why she happens to be dressed like this out on this California beach, you know, to demystify it a little bit rather than just capturing the pixels and sharing them and allowing us, the viewer, to come to our own conclusions. What's going on here? You know, it could be something as simple as, hey, this is Jane Doe who is, you know, fill in the blank, you know, just some sort of story to anchor it down. But,
and see, for me, that would be interesting, excuse me, is because I rarely go out and photograph models. My subjects that I photograph are my clients. So there's always a reason,
right?
You know, it's a romantic session, it's an engagement session, it's a family session. Yep. If I was out photographing models like any of this, it would mostly be because one, I'm either teaching a class, or two, I just wanted to experiment and try some new lighting before I got to a client. So when I look at all these model photos, I often wonder, you know, like Mark Harris, how did you wind up on the beach with this gal? And what was the intention of that shoot? Is this just a model shoot for you? Are you just sort of experimenting and playing with your photography? Or was she a client? Yeah. Or is this going to hopefully someday lead to photographing models for clients? You know, things like that.
I agree 100%. Yeah, it's always a question mark. You know, because I think of it from both standpoints. You know, from a just sort of a functional standpoint of, okay, what, like you said, why are you shooting this model out here? What was the purpose of you and her meeting on the beach to make these photos? Where did they ultimately go? And then the second part is like what I was saying earlier. It's like, okay, if you're building a narrative with these photographs, why is a naked girl on the beach? You know, there's a million reasons why a naked girl could be on the beach, you know, shipwreck, whatever. But
shipwreck.
but why is she on the beach, you know? So, and that's easy. I mean, it doesn't have to be real. It could be a fictional story that you weave around why she's, you know, what's your story that you're illustrating with this?
Right. Her escape pod crashed there.
There you go. Done. You know, we all know that time travel, you can't take inanimate objects through time travel. So,
right.
She's a time traveler.
Of course.
This one was in Brian's shot. She showed up on the beach and, you know, she had to cover up with something. And there was these flowers laying there from a wedding that Troy Miller had shot a couple hours before. She grabbed the flowers to cover herself up. And then, you know, Brian happened by with the camera and she's like, well, you know, if I'm going to be photographed, I might as well pose. So just saying, I told you I was loopy. Did I not tell you?
Yeah, I love it. You should be looping more often.
It's crazy. It's sleep deprivation. All right. The next one, thanks, Brian, for both of those photos.
Yeah,
or for that photos. Yeah, both of those photos are fantastic. Brian always does great work. I love Brian's range, by the way, because Brian will submit shots, alien-looking shots of insects that he was, you know, intimate with, like within like a centimeter of his lens front, and then you know, we'll see these awesome shots like this in here, these model shots. So Brian has a range, definitely. All right, so the next one is from Kyle Nishioka. Kyle Nishioka in the house. Kyle's one of our more active members. I appreciate him. I'm glad he's awesome. Even though I'm envious of him for living where he lives. You know what?
He lives where we vacation.
He lives where we vacation. Yeah, he lives where they manufacture Earth.
Yeah. Right now they're making a lot of it.
They're making a lot of it. Yeah, they're making new land down there. This is a cool shot. And this is outside of the range. I haven't seen a shot like this from Kyle before. So
yeah.
Yep.
And you notice all these like are beach. A lot of you know, like all the women are beach. Like, are they organizing this without you? Are they doing this sort of behind your back? Like,
yeah, I know what's going on. Is this like some kind of private pixel uprising in TWiP PRO? Like, what's going on, man?
They're like, we're not interested in doing liquid. We're not interested in that.
I know. This is what we say to your liquid, Frederick. Your patriotism.
We want girls in the sand.
Girls in the sand with salt water. That's all we care about.
Salt water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But speaking
Kyle,
of girls, this is a pretty girl.
I do. I love the shot. I mean, like, she's got so much personality in those eyes.
Yep.
Her hair color. I mean, that whole thing, the whole jive. I like the horizontal image. I like how it's cropped. I dig all that. I would imagine that rolling around in the sand, you're going to get sand everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish it wasn't on her face.
Oh yeah, or in her mouth, close to her mouth there.
Yeah. And you could probably get rid of that, and it would just take a little bit of time to remove that. But I think that could really, really help this image for me. And then do a gradient burn from the bottom. Burn that up a little bit. It looks like the sides were burned in, but not the bottom center. It's very hot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then for me, this is just personal preference. If I was editing an image, I like more contrast in my images. And more contrast doesn't mean the contrast slider. Okay. So if you're in Lightroom, that may just be driving down the black slider because that'll increase color saturation. It'll increase the difference between your shadows and your highlights, which is technically contrast, but it's not going to push your highlights up either. So that can add some more pop, but that's a visual preference.
Yeah. No, I agree. I would say very similar. I didn't the sand on the mouth. Yeah, that I had that flag too. So that bugs me a little bit. And that you could have easily. I mean, it's hard to say while you're in the moment and looking at how shallow depth of field he has here. He's probably reasonably far away from her to say, "Hey, take that sand off of your brush your mouth." Yeah.
Well. But imagine, okay, and this goes back to our previous question, is this a model shoot that you're doing for fun? Imagine that you're being hired by Sports Illustrated and, it's $100,000 a day shoot and you got to get that shot. You have to notice those things.
Yeah.
And then you make that quick decision, very much like her her fingers.
Yeah.
If you didn't ask her to brush off her face, you could say very quickly, hey, you could just curl the fingers on your left hand, and then they'll hide behind her arm, and that gets rid of those little things. So those are just things to watch for while you're shooting, and then try to anticipate that.
Yeah, but cool shot. This is cool. Yeah, I wonder. Do you think this is just all natural sunlight, or do you think he has any like scrims or gobos in there?
I'm gonna guess all natural.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to say. It's soft light though.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in Hawaii, so there's different light there. I don't know. I can't.
Yeah, I know. It's Hawaii. All bets are off. You got a different sun than we have over here.
I only see one shadow. I don't see anything in the eyes. There is sort of a horizontal key line or in her eye that could be a reflector, but it could just be the sand.
I think it's just the sand. Yeah.
Yeah, it could just be the sand filling her face, which would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool shot. Pretty girl.
Yeah, it's
cool
good.
shot. Great photo. Good work, Kyle.
Good angle too. Nice angle.
Yeah, getting down low. Yeah, get down there with your model. So I wonder what the story of this one is. So Kyle, write us a paragraph and tell us why she's on the beach and what brought her to this position where you were photographing her. All right. Next shot is from a new member, Shiva Sharifi, and she has the pleasure of having been interviewed by me earlier today. In fact, this morning we did an interview, and so I knew this photo was coming up. And here you go. Yeah, you can find her at allshiva.com. That's where her work is.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, we chatted about this one in the TWiP Pro community a little bit, and she posted another image after this one that I really, really liked a lot. I think she did it just in the members photo, but not the photo critique. But it's speaking to this image specifically. I love the split lighting. I like the slightly lower than the eye level. So she has to kind of lift her head and her eyes come down to you. I like that sort of that power, that powerful look. Mm-hmm. I think it's great. I would love to see a little bit more saturation, and maybe I know the horizon's probably tapering away, but we can see that it feels tilted. So you've got to kind of find that 0 point in there if the horizon matters to you. It doesn't really matter in this one, but it could look tilted.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because of the water line, you mean, or the horizon itself?
The water line. See the horizon way out there, because it's probably tapering away to the left.
Oh,
so
right.
she's shooting down the beach to the left.
Yep.
You get that line is not perfectly horizontal,
Yep.
or parallel to the frame.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I like it. So here's my comments on the shot. So the pose, I love the pose of it. And when I'm looking at this, if I blur my eyes and look at it, because of the positioning of her hair in this shot, two images come up. I think is that the Venus shot? Remember the Venus on the box of Adobe Illustrator, the old Adobe Illustrator? Remember the hair flowing out in the wind, that illustration? I'm showing my age here. Whatever. You're too young. You don't know. But that shot, people that are in the know may know Troy Miller. But then also her hair kind of, if I blur my eyes and look at her, it kind of looks like a hijab, like the Muslim headdress, because, right? Because the headscarf
wrapped around her neck. And,
yeah, it kind of reminds me of a hijab. I don't know if that was intentional or not. So I probably, if it wasn't, then I would have repositioned her hair a little bit to see a little bit more of her neck in there. Right, yeah.
If she had turned her head into the wind and fixed her hair, that would have been a couple cool shots. And then look back at the camera, you would have had a mane flowing behind her, and then her neckline would have been split lit too, and that would look really beautiful.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. What's the other thing that I had in my notes here? Oh, the next thing was, and this is a highly subjective thing here, and like my personal. If at all possible, this is not always possible, but if at all possible from photographing women, I try not to shoot or have the camera looking into their nostrils. So like for some reason, like in my head, that bugs me to be looking into I don't know, for some reason I like to have like a slightly above the nose angle down with them looking at the camera. But not in all situations, right? Obviously, everything's subjective. But
right. I actually like this pose. It's a uncommon female pose.
You're just being a nonconformist right now. That's
right. Yeah, and you're delivering a sandwich, is what you're doing. Yeah.
This is not a sandwich. This is a great shot. I'm not sandwiching the negativity.
It is a great shot. There is no negativity. They're creative suggestions.
Yes, these are creative suggestions.
See, like I would say things like, "Oh, it's a beautiful image. I love the strong pose, but I wish it was a little bit warmer."
Exactly.
Right. I wish you'd crop a little bit off of the right, but
yes, yeah. I do wish it was
true.
a little. I do wish it was just a notch warmer. And like looking at her face, I go straight to her lips, and there's something on her left lip, lower lip there, that you could have taken out with like just a click. I probably would have taken that out.
Yeah, you'll know that I don't like the image when I say things like, "This looks like a snapshot," or "Is this the best you could do?"
You would never say that. You would never in a million years say that. You would think it, but you would never say it.
No, I wouldn't say it.
Your inner monologue would be thinking it.
Yeah. No. There's none of those images here.
No. This was good. Shiva did a great job on this. I love it. I want to see her shoot. In interviewing her, and the interview will go live in a couple of weeks. But she's fantastic. Some of the stuff that she does, she does workshops and that sort of thing, and she's been shooting for a long time. And she focuses her workshops on coaching photographers on how to work with models, because she's a former model as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So remember that show that we did with Lexi Nicole a while back on how to pay models?
Yep.
So she listened to that show and then went ahead and hired Lexi for one of her future workshops.
Hey, that's awesome.
And a paying gig, right? But, as we were talking about in the interview, that she's providing a much needed service to an ailment that not many photographers know that is even there, and that's the care and feeding of another human being that has agreed to be in front of your camera. Like, how do you shoot them? How do you how do you interact with them? How do you pose them without being creepy? What are the logistics around the Me Too stuff now? All that stuff. And she's fantastic.
Yeah, and to put things into perspective, when you hear people comment on how to pose or how to deal with that, keep in mind if that photographer is working with a paid model or volunteer model or hired clients.
Mm-hmm.
It's very different, like what your expectations are and how you get that person to get there.
Yeah.
Right. Like Craig Colvin, he hires and works with some of the same models, but he hires professional models all the time. And that helps him get those poses, where I work with clients that don't know how to pose at all. And they're actually really nervous.
Yeah.
So how you interact with that human on the other side of your lens is very sensitive, and there's a delicate balance and coaxing and encouraging, and there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot.
It'll make or break a shot too, right? I mean,
yeah,
you can very easily destroy a shoot by having a bad rapport with the model that you're working with, and vice versa. And she went over. I won't give away the whole shebang for the interview, but she went over lots of like really common sense things that were like head slappers, like having good communication with the model so that there's no surprises and they know that you're professional and you know that they're professional, and that she was like that eliminates, or not eliminates, but reduces flaking from models. You know,
right.
that's a whole thing. Agreeing to be at a place at a certain time, and then model doesn't show up, and now you're sitting there, twiddling your thumbs.
Watching the best light you've ever had in your life
fade away. Yep. Exactly. Wasting your time and money. Well, cool. That was very cool. Good shot. Shiva, I hope this our feedback was helpful to you.
Yeah.
And thank you for submitting that. That was and your first submission to TWiP PRO. Welcome to TWiP PRO.
Yeah.
All right. We got another number 10. We are all the way on number 10 now. This is from Steve Van Sickle. Let me bring this one up. Look at that.
Yeah, he made some comment. This was like a big event where there were several hundred people out there. I don't remember. It was like last week, but anything that has the Milky Way in it is pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Are you sure that's the Milky Way?
Well,
it could be Andromeda. I'm just saying.
I'm pretty sure. I'm no astrologist or anything like that, but I'm just a wedding photographer. I don't know.
I'm just gonna take a wild guess that that's the galaxy that we're in. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
This is amazing, Steve. I love it. I wish it had a little more contrast, a little bit more
sandwich.
Blacks in the blacks. Stop.
See, now you're going to be aware, because like in your normal daily life, you're going to be talking to people. Yeah, right. that's you did a really good job fixing that fence, but
yeah, could you fix this? Yeah. Well, that's how it works.
Yep.
That's how we professional judges do that.
Yeah, the sandwich. All right, continue with your sandwich. Sorry.
No, I think it just needs a little bit more contrast. It needs a little more punch.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I was looking at the blacks. I was curious what you think about the blacks in the trees. There, it's like, should those blacks be black, or is it okay that they're kind of, almost sepia, or I'm not sure how you describe that. Not black.
I'm okay with there being color in those dark shadows, but this is a night shot. Even the trees off in the distance on the other side of the river.
Those are the ones I'm talking about. Yeah. Those.
Yeah, they're flat. So those are probably pure black. I mean, pure dark. And I think that if you were to bring the image down to that, I think that would really help the sky. Bring it down so much so that the highlights in the scene in front of you are what you're seeing, not the ground so much and the sand and everything. And then it's mostly sky. And then, oh, look at this. There's people in the foreground. Mm-hmm. Right now, it's too open. It's too bright. There's too many places to look. I think we need to narrow it down to the sky, your primary, and then into your foreground, and then the highlights and stuff off to the left, like the flashlights or glow sticks or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I agree, and I want to hear again some more story. Like, what happened here? Like, what was going on? Like, are they? Because I see my brain goes in different directions when it's looking at this. Because I'm going in the direction of, okay, these people are out there waiting. Every year this time, aliens come down, they visit just this part of the lake, and
Oh my God.
something. I don't know. Some kind of story that goes along with it just to anchor it. Otherwise,
Right.
I'm forced to come up with my own. So. But I like it. I agree. Like you said, a little bit more contrast to make it pop, especially with the Milky Way there, or Andromeda, and the trees as well. I think those could go a little bit darker, but very cool. How long do you think this exposure was?
Well, it can't be more than 30 seconds.
Why do you say that?
Because the stars will move.
Oh, look at that! Look at that!
I know stuff.
That is a pro right there. Oh, because of stars. Come on. How fast is the Earth rotating?
Really fast.
Is it rotating? Is it rotating faster in, let's say, at the equator than it is in New York City?
Yes.
It is. Yes, it is. It is.
Don't test me. I'm bad at that stuff.
Is the Earth round?
No, it's flat. I've seen pictures.
It is what they call an oblique spheroid. It is not.
Right.
It is not round. It is kind of like a squashed a little bit. Cool. Awesome. Cool shots. This was Steve Van Sickle. These are cool. I hope we get this many shots next week. I mean, I love this.
Just don't put a topic out there.
I know. Don't be challenging people. Come on.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Let's move on to this next one. Number 11 is Matthew Moore. Look at that.
Matthew Moore.
That's some serious depth of field right there, boy.
That is super cool, and I have nothing to add.
Come on, don't be shy. Did I scare you? You like a hermit crab? You went back in your shell.
I'm not scared. I'm not scared at all.
Don't be afraid.
No, I dig it. I think it would look good in black and white. I would love to see it in black and white.
Yep.
And again, it's like somebody said once that if the color isn't adding to the image, maybe we need to take it out. Now, if you're going to do this in Lightroom, make sure that you go to the HSL panel. After you've converted it to black and white, grab that what's that little handle, that little tool in there to pull down the greens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you can just select in the photo and pull the green
thing with the circle and the two little arrows on it.
Yeah, there's an official name for it.
Yeah.
But in the luminosity slider portion, you want to grab the greens and pull them down because that's going to take them darker, and that's going to create a really nice graphical element in this shot. And while you're in Lightroom, you can go ahead and crop a little bit off on that right-hand side, right to the edge of the fence, and I think you're good.
Mm-hmm. I like it. Very cool. Very cool. I wonder what he shot this with, like sensor-wise.
No metadata.
Yeah, because I'm looking. The reason I ask is I'm looking at the bokeh or bokeh, whatever, in the background, and I can almost see a kind of a cross-hatched pattern in there. And I wonder what sensor did that. Since you can almost see it in the foreground too, in the upper left.
Oh yeah.
See what I mean?
Yeah, it's nice that the depth of field is somehow it's within just that one post, right? Like the post itself, maybe at the bottom a little bit, but at the top it's sharp all the way through.
Yeah.
And I think that's really appealing.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. I love this work. This work is so inspiring. Can't stand it. All right. That was Matthew Moore. Thank you, Matthew Moore. And the last but not least is a shot from Troy Miller of the Andromeda Galaxy.
That's right. Yeah. From my TARDIS. I shot it out the door of the TARDIS.
There you go. There you go. What is going on in this shot? When I look at this shot, that's exactly what I think. When you first showed this to me, I thought Big Bang. I thought this was like 0.0000000 seconds after the Big Bang. That's what things look like. And then I was thinking, well, it couldn't have been the Big Bang because there's stars out there already.
Right.
That doesn't work. So what is this? Some sort of energy creature that's about to battle the Enterprise? What is happening here? You should Photoshop the Enterprise just hovering right there in front of it.
Oh yeah, like it's flying into it, like in the old school stuff.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
No, because then I'll get critiqued my compositing abilities.
You have fantastic compositing abilities. Come on. There's no sky in this one.
This of all things is a glow stick.
Get out of here. This is a glow stick?
Yep. So I took a couple glow sticks apart and blended all the chemicals together and made this on my workbench in my garage.
What is the surface? What is it on?
It's on steel, of course. It's just on a piece of dark steel.
What?
The glow stick material is actually, I mean, the light is actually pretty bright. So you have to expose for the glow stick, and then that makes everything behind it go black. And the little speckles, those are pieces of glass.
Did you put those in there on purpose?
Can you see me nodding?
Your pause says it all, man.
Well,
yes.
So I didn't add them on purpose to be stars, but being photographers, we're good observers, and I noticed that they were looking like that, so I played to that.
Got it. Fantastic. Yeah, I love it. Down in the I don't know if you can see it. Well, I'm going to circle it with my mouse so people can see it. This area right here looks like a Milky Way. It looks like not the Milky Way, but the it looks like the Big Dipper, or the Little Dipper, the three little stars.
Is there?
It's down at the bottom, in the bottom quadrant.
Funny.
Yeah, well, you'll see when you see the final video. Yeah, this is cool. So, like, what drove you to create this shot? Where you're just like, you know what, I got some glow sticks. I just came back from the rave, and I need to do something before they fizzle out.
So I buy about 500 glow sticks every few years.
Yep.
For when the kids come over and we throw them around the pool, and I get bored. I got OCD, right? Like I got to go do something, and I've watched enough Westworld and I can't figure it out. So I decide I'm gonna go in the garage and photograph something. So I light stuff on fire, or I look at things and I try to think about what is this gonna look like if I take it apart.
Right. Right.
I took a drill apart. I had an old drill die one day, and I took it all apart, and it's got these really amazing gears inside. So I photographed the gears.
That's nice. And what do you do with these shots? I mean, do you share them online? Do you print them large, or what do you do?
I put them in TWiP PRO and hope people look at them and like them. And
look at that.
That's all I did. It's just the creative in me. I need to create stuff. So I'll post them on Instagram, and I might have some on Spicy Jello. I don't think I have any of these. I think I have my fire stuff there, but none of this stuff.
You're creating content to feed to the creative koi. You know how koi fish act when you throw bread at them? That's what you're doing.
Something like that, yeah.
I love it, man. That is cool. I can't stop looking at the shot. Now that I know how you did it, I honestly had I know you photograph fire from time to time, so my assumption was this was some sort of explosion that you caught a millisecond after the ignition or something. That's what I was thinking. But this is just glowy juice spread over some steel with some glass flecks and exposed for the glowy stuff, so the steel goes black. That's You even have the trailing, like even that red line in there looks like it looks like what do you call it? That after something explodes, the
shockwave. The
shockwave, thank you. It looks like the shockwave.
Yeah, that's there's like, I think what I was trying to do is probably dripping oil in there or something to diffuse it, to push it away, to move the colors around away from each other. So
that's cool. Look at that. A true artist. Look at you. I challenge you to go recreate this exactly like that.
I've got like 1,000 of these, so I could send you.
You have a series, but then you have to come up with a story for them. You got to come up with a story. Like what's going on here? This is what happens when you attempt to fold space and time. So now you have a rift. Right. So now what do? You got to close the rift, and then you can only do that with tachyon particles, right?
Or a sonic screwdriver. There
you go. Cool, man. Well, thank you for submitting this, and thanks for doing this critique today. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we got through a lot, and we are And we did it in less than an hour. Look at that. Boom. 53 minutes. 53 minutes. Cool. All right. So people want to go check out Troy Miller. Is this posted on Spicy Jello? You said yes or no?
I don't think this is. No, I've got some of this stuff on my Instagram feed. I don't think I have anything on my website.
All right.
It was really just more for me. You know, there's things that you create that I never intend on putting out into the world.
Oh,
and
dude,
then
I got a drobo full of that stuff. So
yeah.
Yeah, drobo full of stuff that will never see the light of day. Well, maybe after I'm gone, it might see the light of day. Well, cool. All right. So spicyjello.com is where people should go to check out your stuff?
Yes, that would be cool.
Awesome. All right. Troy Miller, thank you, sir.
All right, buddy. Take care.
All right. We'll see you next time. This is TWiP.